This conference will now be recorded.
Yesterday we were talking about assessment cycle and distribution cycle. I asked you to find out certain things yesterday. What points I told you to figure out?
Cost
Project
First
element,
one,
cost,
cost center,
controlling
assessment
area,
cost
cost
center,
element,
cost object, cost element, assessment cycle, and distribution cycle. Cost object.
cost objects. Next one, what is assessment cycle? What is distribution cycle? Anybody found these things?
Uh, I have done with some points on cost element, cost center, and cost object.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. So basic cost element is integrated with the FI P&L accounts. Uh, and cost elements are divided into two main categories, which are related to primary and revenue costs. The cost elements are only when cost center is implemented, the cost element will be will come into the picture. It involves to post the respective entries in with the help of cost elements. Mainly, this cost element will be used in mirror processing for which PO created. So automatically, the cost element will reflect the cost element number will be reflected in mirror screen. So measure this cost elements integrated with the FI journals. These are 4 points I overall understanding on the cost elements.
Okay.
And cost centers are mainly the origin of the cost center. The cost center are the origin of the cost center where the cost are split posted as per the for example department employee location, and like this the cost has been splitted. So for one particular company code is incurring the particular cost, and based on that that cost is splitted to different type of location. For example, if some invoices is received for Mumbai region is posted in Delhi region company code. So if that has been reclassed to the particular exact cost center where that need to be related. So basically, this cost allocation shows the major comparison in the month end and year end by the financial team. So based on the budgeting, they will be there for particular cost center. This is the budget. So based on the comparison between the previous month or previous year, month end or year end, they can for any huge movement, they can ask the question: what is the reason for this particular cost excess or decrease for the particular type of cost for procurement or assembly or quality? Different types of cost centers we are maintaining, right, for that one. So based on this comparison, the financial team need to answer on this huge variant.
Okay.
So internal order it shows is a temporarily used for an organization for this short-term project for training cost or trade fair like that. So that has been settled in the same time. Will not come into the core picture of the company codes.
Okay.
Uh, cost object I'm not getting, I'm not much clear cost object, but random after searching it's related to cost center. Basically a cost object gives us different of expense and revenue incurred based on the object for which cost used. This cost object I'm not much clear on that points.
Okay. Fine. That I'll
Uh,
explain.
ass- Assessment cycle is mainly it's showing that it's for transferring the cost from one cost to other cost through assessment cycle. Primary
Okay.
cost element and the secondary cost element for transferring the cost to the respective cost centers.
What about distribution cycle?
Distribution there is mainly focus on the primary cost transfer, which more or is morely related dealing with the amounts and quantities. So amount and
Okay.
quantities, that's the distribution cycle also I'm not much clear on that.
Okay. Good. What is controlling area?
Controlling area I have not said, but controlling area is it's the main controlling area is related to the cost and revenue for we are implementing into the project or company code. Based on that, that revenue and cost has been splitted for the particular thing. So that drive with the help of the cost controlling it, we can drive on system SAP. It's the overall my thought on the controlling.
Okay, good. Anybody else found out any information on these points?
Yes, Ajay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Controlling area is the organization unit used for cost accounting, cost control. Controlling area represents the internal accounting perspective. It provides the information to management take decisions. And controlling area is the highest organization level in controlling level. Controlling level can be assigned one to or many company codes. It's a relationship between one to one or one to many. All the company codes within the one controlling area should be same chart of accounts and financial year. Financial year. When it
Okay,
comes to controlling level, cost element. Cost element is nothing but a GL account in FI module that can only P&L related GL accounts. Basically, cost elements are carry carry of the cost. The cost elements category has been a technically control function. It determines whether you can post to cost element directly, indirectly. Direct posting means post a fixed amount to an account by specific the account number. Can you post directly to all primary cost elements? Whereas comes to indirect cost, system determines the account automatically at the time of posting. You cannot enter any account within the posting transaction.
okay,
When it comes to cost centers, cost center is a organization unit within a controlling area that represents to locational where cost occurs.
okay. What about cost object assessment distribution cycle?
Cost of this I have one.
In the assessment cycle, I think using for make the allocation one sender to many more senders. This is created by I think GF, GJF F2, F1, and distribution created by GJF3.
CJF, you're talking about project related transactions.
Yes, yes, sir. I think distribution created through G1. This is created distribution cycle and assessment cycle created by GJF1.
But why we use assessment cycle? Why we use a distribution cycle?
So I think distribution cycle using for allocation of the cost to one sender to many more sender. I think not clear about too much.
Okay.
Sir, is this
Anyone else?
related to WBS?
No, in general, not related to WBS, in general.
Okay, that is a different topic now.
Yeah. Your cost
That under
center
it will
or
come FI or CIVAS.
anything, you can use any cost object. You can use any cost object, either your WBS element, you can use your cost center, internal order, anything.
Okay.
Anyone has got any other information on these points?
Sir, cost object in the sense if we have the GL is the primary cost or secondary cost, while accounting you should have to select cost center.
Okay.
Your accounting Where accounting it is the primary cost, you should have to select the cost center. And your account it is the related to revenue, we should have to select the profit center. While accounting, if you will not select that cost center, particular GL, that cost element, system it will be not accepted to post the entries. And distribution cycle in the sense we have to allocate the cost for different people, 10 people they are sharing, 10 people they are investing, the one cost is happen, that is the distributing for 10 people.
Okay.
Cost center it is the mainly depend upon the business requirement. We can create anywhere like a CEO level we can create, like a department level also we can create. Okay, whichever we want to track the cost, we can create that cost centers.
Okay.
Yeah, that is
Okay. All right. Any other points? Anyone? You can tell whether it is right or
Sir,
wrong. Doesn't matter.
I've wrote something in the chat box. I am currently traveling, sir. That's why.
Yeah. Okay. That is fine. Anyone else? Raju?
Controlling area, we use it for planning, budgeting and all. And cost element is nothing but it is a cost carrier from FI to CO or within the CO. So we create cost element as GL. So we'll be assigning primary or secondary or like that. And cost and while recording the transactions with the GL, we either select cost object, which is nothing but cost center. We use cost center to track the cost, and we use profit center to track the revenue. Assessment and distribution cycle are cost allocation methods. In distribution, we use primary cost element. Here, the sender will be appearing on the receiver side, and in assessment, the sender will not be appearing on the receiver side.
Okay. All right. Anyone else has got any other points on this? No? Now these basic theory points is what something that everybody will have to prepare. So this theory content you have to prepare on your own and make sure you're able to explain at least some basic points. Because this is also quite common in your interview. They will ask you what is assessment cycle, what is distribution cycle, what is cost center, what is controlling area, what is internal order, why we use this. These kind of a basic questions are also possible in your interview. Make sure you have some valid answer, some confident answer to explain to your interviewer. And whatever you're explaining is subject to a cross questioning. Keep this point in your mind. If you tell what is controlling area, let's say whatever you're telling, controlling area is part of your controlling module. This is an organizational unit used for monitoring all the cost related things. Now when you say like this, they will listen to you whatever you're telling. Based on the points that you're telling, they might put a cross question. Similarly, if you tell what is cost element, you may tell cost element is a cost carrier, which is used to carry cost from FI to CO. Then they might put a question that can we carry the cost from CO to FI? If you're telling that cost element is a cost carrier from finance to controlling, they might put, can we carry the cost from controlling to finance? Is it possible? So likewise, we may not be thinking that, okay, I am telling this point that I'm fine with it. But for the same one liner, you might get another crazy cross question, which you may not be aware of, which you may not think even about. If somebody is asking, can you move cost from controlling to finance? Do we have any reverse integration? Then you may need to answer for these kind of questions, either yes or no or not sure. So if you post from FI, it will go to CO. But if you post from CO, first of all, when you are talking about CO, when you're talking about cost element, you have two type of cost elements. One is primary cost element, other one is a secondary cost element. Where do you post primary cost element? Where do you post primary cost element? You post primary cost element in FI. When you post primary cost element in FI, do you see this is updating in CO or not?
Yes, sir. We can.
When you post primary cost element in FI, this primary cost element will reflect in CO. On the other side, where do you post secondary cost element?
Within the
Only
CO.
controlling.
Within the CO.
Secondary cost element, let's say we will be posting secondary cost element in CO, controlling. If you post a secondary cost element in controlling, will this reflect in FI?
Won't reflect in FI.
So it might reflect, it might not reflect. So we need to have these kind of testings, these kind of experiments on the system. Let's say if you pass some entry in secondary cost element, can we pass a secondary cost element entry in FI transactions? Can we pass entry to secondary cost element using finance transactions? Can I debit secondary cost element and can I credit bank account? Is that allowed?
No, sir.
Secondary cost element, are you creating as FIGL account or not?
Sir, this is used only for allocation purpose.
If I go to FS00, you have the GL account type secondary cost. Secondary cost, according to this, is this a GL account?
No, sir. Sir, it is other than GL account.
No, but this is part of your chart of account GL account list.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is clear account.
It is part of GL account list. Now, if this is part of GL account list, can we pass an accounting entry to secondary cost element or not?
Yes, sir. We can. We can pass in like production system, production planning. We can pass that.
So these kind of things is what we have to practically check on the system before we conclude any solution for it, before we conclude whether it is possible or it is not possible. These kind of a simple tricky questions is what people try to ask you in your interviews. If I know that this is a simple straightforward that I know anybody can answer. So what I try to put, I try to twist the things in your interview. Simple things only, but I try to ask in a different way. We need to ensure that these points you are able to answer. When you know that people are trying to put tricky questions in your interview, when you're preparing, you have to prepare in that tricky manner only. So that whatever the cross questions, tricky questions they are putting at you in your interview, you will feel comfortable, you will feel familiar. Okay, in the similar way, I have experienced or ex- I have experimented in the system. I am aware, okay, how system will behave in these kind of situations. For these kind of situations, for these kind of questions, they do not expect right answer from you, but at least they expect the right approach from you. Whatever you're talking, is it relevant, meaningful or not, is what they are going to verify. At least whether you are able to understand what I'm asking, what I am talking about, is the primary motto there. Sometimes what will happen, I will be asking about some point, you will be explaining about some other point which is nowhere connected. Alright? Okay, so if you talk about cost element, you say that cost element is a cost carrier which will transfer the transaction from FI to CO or CO to FI. Cost center, what is cost center? It's a location or a place or a department where you want to track or monitor the cost. So in short, this is a responsible area where you want to monitor or plan your cost. Cost object is anything where you can allot your cost to. Wherever you can assign your cost, that is called as a cost object. I can assign the cost to a cost center, I call cost center as a cost object. I can assign the cost to an internal order, I call internal order as a cost object. I can assign cost to a WBS element, I call WBS element as a cost object. I can assign cost to a sales order, I can assign cost to a production order, PM order, I can call all these things as my cost objects. In short, wherever you can assign, wherever you can allot the cost, that is called as a cost object. You have a list of cost objects which we will be discussing one by one. Currently we are focusing majorly on internal order, cost center. Once we are familiar with this, we will list out all the cost objects. Next one, assessment cycle, distribution cycle.
So,
The,
so on
yeah,
clarification, so related to the cost object, you're saying is allotment and assignment for the cost, particular cost, right?
correct.
So this cost means the for particular product or particular item, we are allotting the amount for that particular is related to that one. Or
Let's say I'm talking about some expenses. Okay, I'm talking about some expenses. Let it be anything. I'll say this expense is somewhere around 12,000. Clear?
okay,
When I book this expense of 12,000, assuming this expense is related to a cost element. Now I am debiting expense to a cost element which is 12,000. If I want to pass this entry, system will give me an error. Cost object is missing. CO object.
yes, sir. Cost center or cost object
Cost
in
object
this
it will
case.
tell. It will not ask you about cost center. It will tell assign a cost object or controlling
Okay,
object.
okay,
Now this 12,000 either I can put against a cost center.
yes, no, no,
I can put this against an internal order.
no.
I can assign an internal order for this amount.
We can, sir.
Either while posting this entry, either I can put cost center or I can put internal order or I can put WBS element, which means I can assign or I can allot this 12,000 either to cost center or to internal order or to WBS element. These are the things that you will be allotting or assigning while posting a finance JV. But on the other side, when the other various things are happening, you may have different type of orders. You may have sales order as a cost object during your production process. You might have process order. You might have your PM order, plant maintenance order. These kind of things will also be there as your cost object, where you are capturing the cost, where you are assigning the cost. So in short, whatever the amount you are holding, whatever the cost or expense that you are holding, wherever you are tagging this amount, this expense is currently sitting in cost center, this expense is currently sitting in internal order WBS element. Wherever you are assigning your cost to, those assignment points are your cost objects. Clear?
Sir, mainly we will use
Okay.
cost center now.
Yeah, mainly we will be using cost center internal order from finance point of view. From the production order point of view, from the PP point of view, you will be using production order and sales order.
Okay, so
Okay,
the entry which we are posting with the cost center or internal order, we'll be having this cost object also while posting. Is that
right, right.
okay?
Because when you pass this kind of entries, system is going to generate additional document called controlling document.
Okay.
Okay,
So
whenever you
based
assign a
on
cost
this,
object,
okay. So go ahead.
yeah, whenever you assign any cost object, system will generate a controlling document or CO document.
Okay. So this cost object is a bridge between the controlling and FI for this
Right.
cost center internal order. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
you are
So this
moving the
12,000.
cost. You are moving the cost using cost element. This is a cost carrier, but it is carrying the cost from FI to CO. In CO, it has to drop the cost at somewhere.
Yeah.
It is
Yes.
carrying, but it has to carry and then drop off somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Where it is dropping off, that is your cost object.
Okay. So
It will
based on the
either drop
cost
on cost
object.
center
Okay.
or on internal order or anywhere, WS element, anything.
So once again repeat the last point.
Your cost element is carrying the cost from finance to controlling.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Right? When it is carrying the cost, it cannot carry for a long rate. It will carry from finance and it will have to drop the cost in controlling.
Yeah. Yes.
So it will be dropping the cost in controlling either in cost center or in internal order or in WBS element or some XYZ cost objects.
Okay.
So whenever you put cost element, cost object becomes mandatory.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got it. So thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, all right. Now, when we talk about assessment cycle, distribution cycle, we are majorly talking about cost allocation. When you're talking about cost allocation, settling or moving the cost from one cost object to the other cost object. Basically, from one responsible area to the other responsible area, you are transferring or you are settling the cost. Now, as you know, there are two type of cost elements. What are the two type of cost elements?
Internal
Primary
order
and
cost
secondary.
center.
Primary cost
Primary and
element,
secondary.
secondary cost element. Now your assessment cycle, distribution cycle is all about moving the cost from one location to another location or from one responsible area to the other responsible area. In short, from one cost object to the other cost object or from one cost center to the other cost center or from one cost center to other internal order or WBS element, any other cost object. When you know that you are moving the cost between two cost objects using assessment cycle, distribution cycle. Now another point you need to remember here is whenever you want to move the cost, you always need cost element. Right? The way you need GL account to pass anything financially in accounting, in the similar way in controlling anything that you want to do, you need a cost element. Either you will be using a primary cost element or you will be using a secondary cost element, but in any of the cases, cost element becomes mandatory. No cost element, no controlling document. No cost element, no controlling document. Now, assessment cycle, distribution cycle, both will work in the same approach. The concept, logic behind assessment cycle, concept, logic behind the distribution cycle is the same, settling or allocating the cost between two objects, between the sender, between the receiver. Now, which method you are using to settle is what differentiates your assessment cycle, distribution cycle. We assumed there are two type of cost elements. One is primary cost element, the other one is secondary cost element. If you are settling the cost using the primary cost element, then this is part of one cycle. If you are using the settlement using secondary cost element, this is part of another cycle. You have two cycles, you have two cost elements. Now you need to place primary cost element at one position, secondary cost element at another position. That is the only difference. Otherwise, the logic, concept, everything remains the same. Which cycle uses primary cost element? Which cycle uses secondary cost element?
Assessment will use both.
Sorry, assessment is for primary.
Distribution cycle uses
Distribution is
primary
for
cost element.
secondary.
Okay, assessment cycle uses what? Primary or secondary?
Secondary.
Primary.
Secondary.
Assessment uses secondary cost elements. Distribution?
Primary.
Distribution uses primary cost elements. Apart from this, there is no difference. Apart from this, there is no difference between assessment cycle, distribution cycle. And one more difference is UV. Another difference is UV. One contains the transaction codes with U, the other one contains the transaction codes with V. Any idea what is the transaction codes?
The KS U5 and KS V5.
Case U1,
Right.
case V1.
Now let me open this. KS remains common, 1 remains common. If I put U, which becomes KSU1, KSU1 is what? Assessment cycle. Correct? Huh? Now let me open V transaction code, KSV1. This is what? One is distribution cycle, the other one is assessment cycle. Apart from the heading, do you find any change? Any difference on the screen apart from the heading, distribution cycle, assessment cycle?
No, sir.
No. What I'll do, let me enter inside. I'll put 1, 2, 3, 4. Start from, I'll put 0101 2023. We are inside the distribution cycle with 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me put 1, 2, 3, 4, same date. What it is telling? You are already locking the cycle. Let me put A, B, C, D. If you notice, 1, 2, 3, 4 I have given for distribution cycle. With the same 1, 2, 3, 4, am I able to create assessment cycle?
No.
It will not allow you to create the same naming convention or the same identification code for both assessment cycle, distribution cycle, because functionality is the same, backend database, everything is the same, except that the way the settlement happens is different. One settles the cost using primary cost element, the other one will settle the cost using secondary cost element. You cannot use the same identification code for both assessment and distribution cycle. Naming convention for assessment and distribution are common. You need to ensure you are not duplicating the codes. Inside this assessment cycle, inside the distribution cycle, any difference?
Consumption is there here, and there is no consumption here.
Here you will find consumption, but here you don't find consumption. Apart from that, any things? You have segments here. No, right?
No, sir.
Now this is KS U1 to KS U5. This is KS V1 to KS V5. What are this? 1 to 5 are the transaction codes. KSU1 2 3 4 5. Similarly, KSV1 2 3 4 5. What are these 1 2 3 4 5? If you open the drop down on the cycle, you will find create, change, display, and then delete. Execute. Create 1, change 2, display 3, delete 4, and then execute 5. So your transaction codes will be from 1 to 5. For assessment cycle, your transaction code starts from KSU1 to KSU5. For distribution cycle, your transaction code starts from KSV1 to KSV5. So first thing that you need to remember or understand within the assessment and distribution cycle is assessment cycle is based on secondary cost element, distribution cycle is based on primary cost element. T codes or the transactions for assessment is KSU1 to KSU5. For distribution cycle, V1 to V5. This is the primary thing that you need to remember between these two things. Because if somebody is asking you about this, they will for sure focus on the difference between assessment and distribution cycle. Clear? Now
What
let me
exactly
put
assessment? Sorry.
Yeah, I'll put one example here now. The same
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
I'll put with assessment cycle what is going to happen. I'll put with the distribution cycle what is going to happen. Then we will practically get one understanding, one idea. Based on that, we will define assessment cycle. We will define distribution cycle in SAP. We will verify the result. Okay, I will put, for example, transportation cost. I'll say transportation cost. Now, what will be the components within the transportation cost in general? Let's say I will put driver salary. Any other components?
Petrol, diesel.
Fuel.
I'll say fuel cost or fuel expenses. Next, vehicle maintenance.
Insurance expenses.
Insurance.
Okay.
Permits.
Let's say any other fines. Okay, if there are any fines or challans on the vehicle, that also you're tracking as cost. Let's also assume this is assuming you have your own vehicles. Otherwise, you may have to put vehicle rentals. Correct? You'll also put vehicle rentals. And repairs and maintenance is part of your vehicle maintenance. Or in short, I'll put repairs and maintenance. And this is your vehicle rentals. In case if you are renting any vehicle, that vehicle rent also you need to pay. Normally, we will be taking on lease basis, or you might be having your own vehicles. Assuming you are taking on lease, for which you need to pay monthly rental for the vehicle. Let's assume driver salary for a month is around 25,000. Imaginary figures. Fuel expenses, let's say 15,000. Don't practically relate to this. We are just writing some dummy figures. Repairs and maintenance, let's say some 3,000 rupees. Insurance, you will be taking insurance per annum, but you will be expensing out on a monthly basis. If you have paid insurance as 5,000 per month, let's say 5,000 divided by 12 months, assuming somewhere around 500 is your monthly insurance. Fines, let's say there are 1,000 rupee fines. Vehicle rentals, for example, you are paying 8,000 as rent per month. Clear? This is your total cost, 52,500. Clear with the total cost? Clear with this breakup and then the total cost? Any questions? Any questions on this table, or is it clear?
Is it clear?
All right. Now let's assume that in your company you have different departments. Let's say you have finance department, admin department, sales department, purchase department, HR department, and logistics department, production department, QC department, or quality check department. Let's say these are the departments that you have, and all these departments are utilizing the transportation facilities. If you know that all these departments are utilizing the transportation facilities, what you will normally do, you will consolidate the cost during the month, or you will accumulate the cost during the month. What we will simply do, you will check what is the total cost during the month. For the transportation, what is the total cost during the month, and this total cost, whatever you are getting during the month, you will have to account somewhere, because this cost is not something which is directly related to finance, which is directly related to admin or any of the department. This cost is commonly applicable to all of the departments that you have in your organization. In order to assign, in order to allot this transportation cost to the respective department based on any logic, based on the actual consumption, based on any fixed percentage, based on any fixed amount basis, you need to decide initially what is your total cost and where you are accumulating the cost. Normally what we will do, you will be accumulating the cost in the common cost centers. Where you will accumulate the cost? You will accumulate the cost in the common cost center. In short, you will be tracking, you will be monitoring the cost in a common cost center. Let's say you have common cost center. When I say common cost center, let's say I might say transportation cost center. I might create a cost center like this. I'll put a name as transportation cost center. When I put this as transportation cost center, what I mean here is, whatever the cost I am incurring here, I want to put the total cost in a specific cost center called transportation cost center. So whenever I book these expenses, I will ensure, or I will instruct all my users to pass this expense into the transportation cost center. While booking the expense, what any user will do, the moment they know this is the driver salary, fuel expenses, all these GL accounts, they will be allotting or they will be assigning this cost center. So during the month, whenever you put this fuel expenses, let's say in a month you have filled fuel. Now in a month, how many times you will pay salary to driver?
One time, sir.
This is one time. In a month, how many times you may fill fuel? One time or multiple times?
Multiple.
This is multiple. Repair and maintenance?
Multiple.
Normally one time.
This can also be multiple because you do not know when your vehicle may get breakdown. So you'll have to put some repairs and maintenance cost on it. Insurance?
Once in a year.
So it's a one time in a month. So you pay once in a year and you will distribute the cost on a monthly basis, correct?
Yes.
Basically your insurance is a prepaid expense. You will be expensing out on a monthly basis. And fines? This also multiple time. You do not know when fine will come. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Now vehicle rental, if you are taking on a
Monthly.
rent, this is also one time. Clear? Huh? Now when I know that I am passing the driver salary, I know that if I am the user, I know this driver salary is related to transportation. This transportation I need to charge this to transportation cost center. Normally whenever a user is recording any transaction or they are booking any expense, will user have any information with them or user will decide on their own while booking the transaction, or do they have some information instructions?
They have some information. Manager.
User will have information and instructions. Let's say if the user will have to record a driver salary, on what basis user will record a driver salary? So there will be some invoice stating that the driver salary bill, correct? You are engaging driver from any one agency from outside, agree? Or you are having your own employee who is working as a driver. For that you will have a fixed cost that you will be charging it to driver salary. You will inform or you will have the approval to pay 25,000 to the driver. When you put this amount 25,000 to be payable to the driver, you are going to write this is an expense to be charged to this XYZ GL account and booked under so and so cost center. Any expense, user will have clear instructions which GL account to be used, which cost center to be used. Am I correct? Those who worked in accounting as an end user.
Yes, sir.
It is
Yes,
not
sir.
that you can choose any GL account that you want. It is not that you can select any cost center that you want. It is strictly pre-instructed. Instructions are given to the user or on that email or on the physical document, the cost center code or cost center name is clearly written. If not, user will not record the entry. He will tell, please tell me which cost center to be used, because he has no right to put on any cost center that he wants unless he is clear about. If he is clear, he can put in the respective cost center. If not, he will have to ask for the cost center name or cost center code. For all these things, users will have the clear instructions either in the form of email or on the physical document that this expense will have to be booked in this cost center. When they get this communication, what users will do, any user might pass the entry. There is no rule that only A user will have to pass this entry or only B user will have to pass the entry. User may be anyone, entry may be passed from anywhere. Once these entries are posted, everybody will ensure the respective GL accounts are used and the right cost center is used. Once you take out the cost center report at the end of the month, when I say once you take out the report at the end of the month, you will have to ensure the cost is accumulated in the transportation cost center. Now to pass the transaction, what is the T code we will be using for booking these expenses?
-02
FB50.
FB60.
First one is your expense booking. Expense booking, you can use FB01, F-02, FB60, FB60 or 70 for vendor.
60, sir.
60.
F-43 or FB50. You can use any transaction for expense booking. When you book the expense, you will have to ensure you are debiting the respective expense with the right cost center. Once you book the expense, you will have to check the cost center report. What you need to check? Cost center report you need to verify. What is the transaction code to verify the cost center report? Where do we check cost center report? In short, cost center balances. The way you check GL report FBL3N FAGLL03, in the similar way we can verify the cost center balances, cost center report. Where do you verify that? You have KSB1, you have KSB1N, you have another one 870 12311. There will be some T code. Let me verify if this is correct. I don't remember exactly. Eight seven zero 12211. No, 870 12311. No, 7012122. No, I don't remember. Let's verify this. Go to controlling, cost center, information system, reports for cost center. In this actual plan comparisons, so this is the one 870 13611. 870 13611. Let me open to make sure I have written the right copy. 870 13611. Okay, our controlling area was DEIN. Let me put year 2023, period 1 to 12. I'll just execute. Single value for characteristic, this does not exist. Let's go here. Enter. Let's open this error message. Why this error is coming? Does not exist. Let's go to OKKS. Set controlling area as DEIN. Sorry. Our controlling area is not DEIN. What is our controlling area? DEGR. Click on execute. Now these are the common reports that you will be executing on a daily basis as a FICO consultant in whatever the project you work for. Let's say I'll select the first cost center. In this cost center, you will find something called the balance here amount. The total debit balance is how much? 31,980. Like this, it will update the cost here. We assumed, or yesterday we discussed, for every cost center, for every expense, at the beginning of the fiscal year, there is something called budget. Correct? At the beginning of every fiscal year, you will have to make the budget for all your expenses. Whatever the budget you make at the beginning of the fiscal year will be uploaded as cost center planning in SAP. When you upload the cost center planning, you will see the value here in the cost center planning, plan cost. Whatever you actually book in the finance, in the JV, that will come as your actual cost. This is in short the nothing but the actual cost, plan cost, difference between your actuals and plans. In short, budgeted value versus actual value, or actual value versus plan value. Some call it as actual plan, some call it as actual versus budget. But either ways, it is the same. They are referring to the same screen when you are in any project. Now, what is the expense that you are seeing here? You are able to see some amount here. When you pass the entries, when you pull out this report, you need to ensure 52,500 will reflect in this report here. Clear? We need to ensure in the cost center report 52,500 will appear as debit balance, because you are talking about expenses. Expense always shows debit balance or credit balance.
Debit balance.
Debit balance.
Expense always shows debit balance. Here you will find debit. Your amount must be debit here. During the month, after accumulating all your cost, when you run the cost center report for transportation cost center, we must ensure 52,500 appearing here according to our example. Once you do this, you need to ensure you will settle the cost from transportation cost center to the respective departments. You will have to ensure the cost from transportation cost center is settled with different departments. On what basis you are going to settle is the second point. Whether you want to settle based on the percentage, whether you want to settle based on the amount, or whether you want to settle based on any flexible approach. Let's say this month I want this, next month I want to have some other thing. So according to your choice, according to your requirement, you can decide. Based on that criteria, let's say you are going to settle based on percentage. Now, whenever you are talking about percentage, the total percentage should be always how much? 5%, 10%, or 100%? If you're
100.
talking about percentage, total should be 100%. In short, this is represented as 100% value. Am I correct? Am I correct? The total cost is always represented as 100% value. This 100% value you have to settle, you have to distribute between different departments. On what basis you are going to distribute is your choice. If you want to go based on the amount, you are not supposed to exceed this amount. If I want to settle the amount basis, I should not exceed more than 52,500, because if your cost is 52,000, can you settle more than 52,000?
No, sir. No, sir.
You cannot settle more than 52,000. In short, more than 100% you cannot settle, but less than 100% can we settle? More than 100% we cannot settle. Is that point clear? If my cost is 52,500, this 52,500 is 100% value. I cannot settle more than 52,500, which means more than 100% I cannot settle. Am I clear? Is that point clear?
Yes, sir.
More than 52%, sorry, more than 52,500 or more than 100% we cannot settle. Point number one. Point number two, can I settle the exact amount, which is 52,500 or 100%?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can I settle the complete amount? Yes, I can settle the complete amount. If I settle the complete amount, after settlement, will there be any amount here or it will become zero?
It will be zero.
If I settle complete amount, it will become zero. Can I settle less than 52,500, in short, less than 100%? I have 100% amount, but I don't want to settle total amount. I want to settle only 80%. I will tell out of 52,500, only 80% is subject to allocation, or only 80% will be shared cost, 20% is not going to be settled. Possible or not?
Possible.
Possible, sir.
Right? I don't want to settle the total amount. I want to settle only 40,000 out of 50 to 500, or I want to settle only 80% of the amount. Possible or not?
Possible, sir.
Right? Now, these kind of scenarios is what we have to practically execute in the system along with numbers in order to understand what is actually happening with assessment cycle, distribution cycle. Let's say first we will proceed with 100% settlement. Once we do the 100% settlement, then we will plot the numbers for more than 100%, less than 100%. We will put the same things in SAP. We will get the error messages or successful messages practically on the system. Let's say first thing I want to settle based on percentage. First one is percentage method. If I want to go with percentage method, I need to ensure I'll put a formula here. From here to here, I'll put a formula. I need to make sure this percentage is not exceeding 100%. Correct? I need to make sure the total settlement percentage should not exceed 100%. So what I will do, I'll settle 10% here. I will settle 5% here. I will settle 20% here. Now, since I put formula, you are able to see the amount is updated automatically at the bottom. Correct? Now, purchase department, let's say I'll settle 8%. HR department 13%. Logistics, I will say 30%. Production department 4%. And quality check department 10%. Now, what is the total? The total settlement percentage is now equal to 100.
Yes.
Right? Now this is equal to 100. Let me put okay. This is total 100%. Now next one is amount method. If I go ahead with amount method, what I will do, I will have to put amount on my choice. When I put amount on my choice, my amount should not exceed more than 52,500. Correct? Agree? Amount should not exceed more than 52,500. Now here I will tell that finance department I will give 12,000, admin department I will give 3,000, sales department I'll give 31,000, not 31, let's say 8,600, purchase department 4,900, this will be 6,500, 2,600, and this will be 8,000. What is left over? The balance amount, let's say this minus this, 6,900. Now are these two equaling? 52,500, 52,500?
Yes, sir.
If you are planning to go ahead with percentage, make sure your total percentage is not exceeding 100. If you are going ahead with amount basis, make sure the total amount is not exceeding your actual cost. Clear? This is one way of settling. This is another way of settling. Majoritarily, we will be proceeding with percentage method. Majoritarily, on what basis we will settle? Percentage or amount? Which one is used majorly?
Percentage method.
Percentage method is used majorly. Whenever you put percentage method, there is one rule here. Whenever you put percentage method, there is one method or there is one assumption, one logic, which is percentage is fixed every month or amount is fixed every month. Clear? If I put 10%, 5%, 28, 13, whatever it is, this is assumed to be the same over the period of time. Let's say June month I will be settling at this percentage, July month, August, September, October, every month I will be settling at the same percentage. Am I clear? This is called as your fixed percentage method. Sometimes there may be a requirement. This month I want to settle at 10% for finance department, but next month we may increase the percentage, we may decrease the percentage. Is that also possible? Yes, no? Can
Yes,
we
sir.
also have
Possible.
flexible percentage? Can we also have flexible amount? Those are also possible. Now you need to make sure you can settle either with fixed percentage every month, variable percentage every month, fixed amount every month, variable amount every month. Now assuming you are going ahead with fixed percentage every month, how system is going to allot the amount? Now when you do the assessment cycle, when you do the distribution cycle, now as per assessment, here I'll put as per distribution. Whether you go as per assessment cycle or you go as per distribution cycle, what is the base amount for the settlement? What is your base amount for settlement? 52,500. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
This is the base amount for your settlement, 52,500. Whether you go ahead with assessment or you go ahead with distribution doesn't make any difference. You are going to settle the same amount. Now, where will the difference come? You will practically understand now. Let me put these two. Let's assume the same percentage we are using according to both. Let me put these percentages here. So what you are going to do, you are going to simply put a formula. System also is going to do the same thing that we are doing it now. What system will do, it will take the total cost and it will multiply with 10%. Correct? It will take the total cost, it will multiply with the percentage. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, for all the other things, system is going to do the same thing. The formula for the second one will be 52,500 multiplied by 5%. Here also same thing, 52,500 multiplied by 20%. Are these calculations clear? Same thing I am doing for every column. This amount multiplied by 30%. Here also same thing. This amount multiplied by 4%. Here also this amount multiplied by 10%. Now after doing this settlement, if I do a total, How much we are getting? Is it the same 50 to 500? Is it same or anything different? After settling, you got the same total value. Now, if you settle according to distribution method, system is going to do the same thing. 52,000 multiplied by 10 percentage, same thing. In short, whatever you have here, it will be the same formula. So this is not E, I'll put this at D. Okay, let me put the formula only. This is E 123. Now after putting this formula, if I do a total, is it also the same or anything different? Any change in this amount?
No, sir.
No change in this amount. Now overall at high level, when you use assessment cycle, when you use distribution cycle, did you find any difference on the settlement amount? Did you find any difference on the settlement amount? Yes, no?
No, sir.
There is no difference in the settlement amount. Then where comes the difference? Now here, let's say you are heading finance department. You are related to finance department, assuming you are related to finance department. During the month end, you are looking at your financials. During the month end, what you are looking at? You are looking at your financials. In your financials, you are looking at a cost of 5,250. In your financials, you are looking at a cost of 5,250. You want to know why this 5,250 is charged to your department, correct? Possible or not? You want to know why I was charged with 5,250. Possible or not?
Yes, sir.
You want to know because before they do this settlement, either assessment or distribution, you don't find 5,250 in your cost center. In your department cost list, you don't find 5,250 before the month end or before executing this settlement. Once the settlement is executed, all of a sudden you are seeing your cost has gone up by 5,250. You are interested in knowing why my cost has gone up by 5,250. When you look at it, you identified that okay, somebody has done a settlement. Through the settlement, I got 5,200 hit on my P&L. Now you want to get the details of it. Now if you look at the details of 5,250, now I am writing cost breakup. Is this clear? Is this term clear? Understandable? Cost breakup.
Yes, sir.
I want to know the cost breakup. Let's say 5,250 as per assessment. Point number 1. Point number 2, cost breakup 5,250 as per distribution. Now we assumed one will use primary cost element approach, the other one will use secondary cost element approach. Which one is primary cost element? Which one is a secondary cost element?
Distribution primary assessment.
This is your primary cost element. This is your secondary cost element, correct? Distribution is primary cost element, assessment is secondary cost element. Is this correct?
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Now, before you look at the cost breakup, first you want to see the original breakup. Before I see my cost breakup, I want to see the original breakup. When I say original breakup, I mean this. This is my original breakup. Agree? Correct? Yes, no? 52,500 is the breakup of this. Clear? This is the original cost that you are settling, 52,500. But what is the breakup of your original cost? This is the breakup of your original cost. Let me copy this original cost. I'll put this original cost here. In primary cost element settlement, you are going to get the breakup like this. In the primary cost settlement, you will get the breakup like this. Now, what is the finance department? Let's say you are talking about finance department here. What is the finance department share? What percentage we settled to finance department?
10%.
We settled 10% to the finance department. So here what you will get, driver salary, this amount into 10%. Here fuel expense, this into 10%. Here you will get repairs and maintenance, this into 10%. Insurance, this into 10%. Fines, this into 10%. Vehicle rental, this into 10%. In short, now clear how I got these numbers? I just applied on each cost the respective department percentage, correct? Driver salary multiplied by finance department percentage. I got this number. If I copy this, I'll replace these numbers here. If I do a total, what is the total for finance department? 5,250, correct? Now, is this 5,250 agreeing with your original cost that you got during the month end? Clear or confused?
Yes, sir.
Right? This is the cost that you settled to this cost center, and how you got this cost is this is the breakup. This is what is possible when you settle the amount using distribution cycle. On the other side, if you settle with assessment cycle, you will not get the detailed breakup. You will get only assessment cost as 5,250. That's it. You will get assessment cost as 5,250. Do you get detailed breakup in assessment cycle, or you get only the consolidated number?
Consolidated number.
So in assessment cycle, you only get the consolidated number via assessment cost. It will show as assessment cost. It will tell you the amount that is charged to your department. On the other side, on your distribution cycle, you will get the detailed breakup of each and every expense with the original account name. If the original cost has driver salary, you will receive the driver salary to the extent of your proportion, whether it is amount or it is percentage. Similarly, if you have 10 expenses, your distribution cycle will give you 10 expense detailed breakup. But assessment will not give you 10 expense detailed breakup. It will club 10 expense amount into one, and that one will be displayed as assessment cost. Correct? When we define assessment cycle, when we define the distribution cycle for the same amount, in the next session, we will define assessment cycle, we will define distribution cycle, we will create the same cost centers. We will perform the same settlement, we will verify whether the numbers are coming correct, whether the breakup is coming correct or not. Then you can have confidence, yes, this is what system is behaving, this is how numbers are being calculated. You can explain the same thing to your interviewer or to your client or to whosoever. But when you are explaining, make sure you are able to take an example along with the numbers, and you are explaining along with the practical things that happens in a project, not in a generic way that happens in SAP. Explain the things which will happen practically when you are in a project. Clear? Any questions?
Sir, why do we use distribution cycle for primary cost element and assessment cycle for primary elements?
Repeat your question again.
Sir, why do we use the distribution cycle for primary cost elements and assessment cycle for primary cost elements, sorry, secondary cost elements?
The program is designed in such a way that whenever you configure distribution cycle, system is going to settle based on the original cost. If your original cost is the breakup of, let's say, this is how many items? 6 items.
Yes, sir.
So whenever you define any distribution cycle, your distribution cycle will distribute based on the line item. If you have 10 line items in your original cost, 10 line items will be distributed according to the respective percentage or amount. On the other side, if you go ahead with assessment cycle, your assessment cycle is based on single line item or consolidated amount. Your assessment cycle will consolidate the total line items. It will consider only 52,500. At this 52,500, it will apply the percentage. The single line, it will settle to your receiver cost center, wherein it is going to always debit your receiver with secondary cost element. On the other side, your distribution is always going to debit your receiver with primary cost element. It is up to you if you want to have the settlement with the detailed breakup along with primary cost element. You will have to go ahead with distribution cycle. If you do not want primary cost element, you do not want the detailed breakup, to avoid unnecessary postings in the GL account, you can proceed with assessment cycle. Both are having the same functionality but different method or different logic. According to the requirement, either client can choose assessment or the client can choose distribution. But the logic, functionality, everything is same. Whatever you use for settlement, are we getting any difference in the amount?
No, sir.
There is no difference in the amount. If you want to see the detailed breakup at the receiver's end, you will have to go ahead with distribution cycle. You do not want the detailed breakup. You are fine that whatever the amount is settled, I am okay with it. If I want, I will go back to the original cost and then I will look at the breakup. Then you can go ahead with assessment cycle. Clear?
Got it, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, my second question is, you said ki we can settle uh, till 100%. Like we can settle maybe 80%. So can you please
Right.
give an example of that, sir? In that situation, how the costs get allocated?
Those three things I will show practically on the system. First, I will show this 100% so that you are clear with the standard scenario. Then I will show you above 100%, I will show you below 100%.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I will not post the entry, I will only simulate the entry and then show you the calculations on the settlement. We will take the numbers screenshot from the settlement, we will put it on the Excel sheet, then we will change the percentages. Once we will make it more than 100%, once we will make less than 100%, then we will see what system is doing, which one system will settle, which one system will not settle. If you want to see it on the system, let's say, what are the transaction codes for settlement or distribution, assessment or distribution?
KSV1.
KSV1. Let me go to KSV1. Both will be the same. I'll put this something, I'll put test. Ignore what I am doing now. I am only going to show what you have asked. Now, if you see here, first thing is your sender header. Here you have the posted amount, fixed rate. So I am talking about posted amount. I want to settle 100% amount, or I want to settle 120% amount. Let's say test. If you put more than 100%, what is happening? Is it allowed or not allowed?
Not allowing, sir.
Point number 1 clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Now, if I want to settle 100%, is this allowing? Any error messages? I'm pressing enter, no error. Point number 2 clear? You can settle 100%.
Yes, sir.
Point number 3, I want to settle only 80%. Any error messages?
No, sir. No error.
Okay. Point number 3 is clear? You can settle less than 100%.
Yes, sir.
So here what system is going to do, if you put 80%, system is going to calculate the total cost booked in your cost center multiplied by 80%. It will get 42,000. It will apply these percentages on 42,000 instead of 52,500. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Any other questions? These are actually very simple
Thank you,
when
sir.
we are on the system, but before we get into the system, you should have some conceptual understanding, some figures, numbers, some meaningful confusions in your mind, so that you will have crystal clear clarity on the system.
So the rest 20% will be in miscellaneous, or
No,
that
no,
will
rest
be
20% will be in the same cost center.
okay.
Okay, the remaining amount will remain in the same cost center because you're not settling it from it.
Okay.
Or what you can do, remaining 20% you may be settling to another cost center. That is also possible. You may be having different set of cost centers. To some set of cost centers you wanted to settle 80%, to another set of cost center you wanted to settle 20%. That also you can do. One segment can contain one cycle can contain multiple segments. You will see this segment here. Right? One cycle can contain multiple segments. Clear? Any other questions on this?
So,
Yes.
sir, as you said to copy the company code from EC01, right? In that,
Right.
I copied one company code, but it is asking for the I want to post one GL entry, sir. It is asking for the cost center and profit center, sir. Profit center and cost center is not copied, sir.
Those are master data. If it is not copied, you create your own cost center, profit center.
Okay, sir.
I'll see that after stopping this recording. I'll check that company code.
Okay, sure, sir.
Yeah. In this, any other questions on this assessment distribution cycle? Understood these calculations, whatever we did here?
Yes, sir.
Alright. If there are no questions, let me stop this recording.